Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me, Chief Funky and Calix on Archive. Make sure you hit that like button, share the video on all your social media platforms, and for those listening on the Leave It in the Ring network, iHeart, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it. And give us 5 stars on that Apple Podcast. If you do have an iPhone, we're being joined by the one and the only 18-year-old prospect, Floyd Schofield. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
How you doing, man?
Good, man.
No, I know your nickname, but I want you to tell people. Tell us your nickname, man, and tell us what inspired that nickname, other than you being from there. But.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. At first, I had, the great, or the truth. But, Errol Spence and everybody had that. Then once moving to Austin, my team was just like, you're a kid and you live in Austin, so they put it together and it sounded good by my name. So we stuck by it.
Well, there you go. Austin's a good city too. I have a lot of family there. I'm over here in El Paso, Texas, and Texas is the place to be. Unfortunately, the co-hosts are from California and Louisiana, but that's okay. Like we'll accept them either way, man. First of all, I want to play this, for the people here, and we'll kind of, talk about it. Let's get a quick reaction and watch this beauty right here.
Go get him. There you go. Go get him. Hey, you heard him.
And that was all she wrote. They put the guy out of his misery. You went down to Tijuana. You know what I mean? Talk to us about that. Going down to Mexico, hostile territory, I guess. But there's COVID, so I don't even know how the audience situation was. But nonetheless, tell us about your experience.
Overall, the experience was amazing. Food was amazing. Being down there, you see like a whole different atmosphere, and makes you appreciate what you have here. So, just being in that environment and my first time in Mexico, it was a good time. And being able to fight in Mexico is pretty good. Fighters are tough. There's some tough fighters out there.
You said the food was good?
Food was amazing, especially when I stepped off the scale.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, you got to stay away from that food during camp, So
Yeah.
gotta stay away from that one. Oh man, that's great. That's great. Let's show the people this the first fight as well. All right, we'll play a little bit of it. I don't want to get a copyright from whoever played this, but it's your content anyway, right? So let's check this out. All right. Wow.
Mm.
Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, he does not know where he's at. Look at this. He's lost. All right, good stoppage. Good stoppage right there, man. Hey, talk to us about what do you remember about that knockout?
Well, what I remember is, I don't know. It was just like a subconscious thing. I was just in there to like box, and I wasn't looking for the knockout. I was going to showcase my skills. It was my first time being on television, and when the knockout came, I'm literally like, where'd he go? And I look on the floor and I'm like, oh, okay. So the power is real, because my dad would always tell me I have power, and just one day it's gonna show. And that day it showed, and like ever since then, like I've been able to like bring it out when I want to.
And that was beautifully set up. Were you 18 at the time?
Yeah,
when what happened?
I turned 18.
Just turned 18.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a left hook, man. That's when I saw you hit that right hand in the other clip. I didn't know your age. Somebody shared the clip. When I saw you were 18, I was very surprised. These are very crisp, very well placed punches. But I do want to ask you this: as an amateur, you had one knockout, from what I see, right? Is that correct?
I had a lot, actually.
Okay.
Probably like one on video or whatever, but I had a lot in the amateurs.
Okay, so I guess the box rig has it wrong because I don't know.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff on.
Okay, well, that's nothing new. But here's what I want to ask you, and I ask this to every prospect. So, your first pro fight, you're in the back. Just try to remember that day, right, or that night. You're in the back. You're getting your hands wrapped, and they put on those little small gloves. What's going through your mind?
Well, right before my fight, my manager, he actually puts Floyd Mayweather on the phone. And like, he gives me like these words of encouragement and like how he felt during his pro debut. So it was like I was like, I have to do what I have to do. And I wasn't really anxious or anything back there. I was actually well prepared and ready for like during the amateurs, I would always say, I'm here to be a professional, be one of the greatest pros to ever live. So it was just like nothing new to me. It felt natural.
What is the biggest jump from amateur to the pro?
Dang, gloves.
Gloves?
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, I believe I only got hit twice being a pro in both fights. So I didn't really get to see how it feels, but seeing my opponents, I know it hurts. So, but also the no shirt thing too. I don't get as hot as I did in the amateurs with all the gear on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have problems getting sparring in Austin? Do you go down to Houston at all? Like where are you getting your sparring from?
Well, I go to J Prince Gym in Houston to spar with Shakur. I'm going to LA to spar with the Mason brothers this weekend. And I sparred Devin Haney in Vegas like 2 months ago. So I go everywhere because I don't get no sparring out here at all. I usually have to work with the kids.
A lot of guys from Louisiana go out to Houston too. That's what I was asking. I figure you did a lot of work in Houston.
Yeah, it's way better work in Houston than it is Austin.
Yeah, I seen that on your Facebook. You've been in the gym with a lot of big names. I seen you've already named a couple. I seen I believe Adrian Broner, Tank Davis, Robert Easter. Tell us a little bit, man. How are the experience getting in the ring and sparring with these professionals, man?
The experience is good, and like I ain't gonna say too much, but I held my own. So it showed me my bad. It showed me the type of level I'm on, and like I'm up there with them, and being with them is a great experience, and it's actually fun. So, and I get to learn new things from them.
Yeah, I could imagine. That's a lot of good names that you've already been training with. So who was the out of all those guys you sparred, who was the toughest for you, man?
I wanted to ask you too.
All of them.
I like it.
I like that answer.
So there's somebody in the chat want to know what weight are you fighting in?
130.
Oh, okay. It's a loaded division, man. All those divisions down there, 130, 35, 40. Those are some stacked divisions, man. So when are you going to start to take over, man? When are we going to see you in there for a world title, you think, man?
This year.
This year?
Next year.
Whoa. All right. Okay.
I like it. I like the mentality.
Yeah. I say this year. Probably like hopefully my 10th fight.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead and win his title in your 10th fight.
I ain't gonna say no names, but I know a couple people who did
it. So who are some of your best influences in the sport? Like some of the guys that you looked up to and try to pattern your style around?
Nobody really, but if I had to pick one, it's probably an old school fighter, Sugar Ray Robinson, that most definitely, and Willie Pep with the defense.
Oh wow,
man, that's a rare thing to hear nowadays. To hear the young kids say that, that's great though. That's great, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Of the newer generation, I would probably say Shakur. Most definitely.
Shakur. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, you got to be
All of them now is my favorites. But like I'm saying, like Shakur is like.
You know what? You don't want to just get one guy, right? You want to take a piece out of different guys. You know, something that works for you.
Hey,
Devin got a great jab. You can't see for Devin.
you might not want to give him. You might not want to give him too much props though, because you might see him down the road one day. It sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that.
We want to. Well, I want to ask you that. Like, is there like for you? I mean, obviously, we see a lot of fighters, at least nowadays, because you mentioned Sugar Ray Robinson. Back in the day, everybody fought each other. You know what I mean? When he was fighting, when Willie Pep was fighting, he fought everybody. You know what I mean? So as far as today, I mean, we do see a lot of like, oh, this guy's my friend, I'm never going to fight him, and this guy's my big brother, I'm never going to get a ring with him. Where do you stand with that? Like, if an opportunity comes, is it just business, or do you have certain guys you won't fight?
Business is business. If we're in a sport to like, now I'm not saying like we gotta hate each other, but like we gotta make money together, and if people want to see the fight, we gotta fight.
Good answer. Good answer.
There you go. Hey, I like this.
Honestly, I feel like if you get into boxing, you shouldn't have friends that you're like friends in boxing, especially in the same weight division.
Yeah, it's just business.
Yeah,
Man, that is competitiveness right there. I'm loving that, man. I remember when I would play sports in high school, man. You play against some of your friends at another school, like I didn't give a damn. You're the enemy right now, you know.
that's how it is in sparring for us. Like at the end of the day, we cool, but like we got to help each other work on what we need to work on. Same thing as a fight. Yeah. One personal.
Yeah, no need to take it personal. Did you box a lot of, or spar, I should say, a lot of bigger guys? Like I'm talking like anything around middleweight or anything like that, or you stay away from big guys right now?
Honestly, I spar anybody. Just not like before a fight though.
Stopping big guys.
Yeah, I stopped a lot of big guys in sparring. As again, I won't say no names.
That's respectable, yeah.
I think the heaviest I sparred is like 195.
And for those that just came in, and let me just play this again for those that are coming in here. Check this out, guys.
Go get him. There you go. Go get him. Hey, you heard him. You heard him.
Look at that, guys. I mean, oh my God, that the one thing that I noticed, that it didn't finish him, but I noticed, looked really good was the uppercut, the right uppercut.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about, like your training, your trainer, like who helped you, with your craft here.
Yeah, talk about it. Talk about it. Boy, you should have a lot to say.
I don't, but my dad. He's been training me ever since. I never had no like an assistant coach or anything like that. So he taught me everything I practically know.
Since 2 years old.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay, so you've been hitting the mitts since you were 2 years old.
Yeah.
Man, those are some nice, short, compact uppercuts, man. I love those kind of punches, man, because they get there super quick, powerful.
I was trying to break his nose. I remember in a fight. I remember like in a fight, I'm thinking like, okay, this one's gonna break his nose. Then when they didn't, I was like, okay, never mind. Yeah.
Well, I hear that in Mexico they already like break their noses so they don't bust open during the fight. So they're kind of they're tough over there, and they try to, get you with the food, those enchiladas and stuff before the fight or something. You got to be careful over there. You know what I mean?
I didn't eat none of that. We had basic
You had
stuff
everything.
before the fight.
Oh,
Before the fight, it was healthy.
You had costume.
But after the fight,
Okay. After the fight,
After the
celebration.
fight,
Okay.
it went down, huh?
yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So what do you got? You guys got anything planned this year? Any fights coming up soon, or any rumors of any fights happening? Or
Fight every month this year.
Yeah.
ooh, every month.
Yes. We already got the date set. Let me tell y'all. Well, you could tell them your date set.
Yeah, I fight on Telemundo, my next one in March 5th.
Right?
Okay.
List for your other fights. Give me 1 second.
Telemundo, there's always some good fights there, man. On those shows.
You tell them your other dates. Not the most.
Okay.
March, April, May, June, July, August.
Tell them the
September.
date, though.
Oh, March 13th, April 24th, May 29th, July 10th, August 21st, October 2nd, November 13th, and December 18th. Dang, that's
Oh.
nice.
That's right. That's right. So you can't. You gotta have
That's a busy schedule, but you keep
That's
knocking
what's
them
up.
out early like that. It's not a big deal, you know. So it's
Yeah.
just
Yep.
yeah. Are you gonna try to get it like because you already got a knockout with a hook. This one it was a TKO, but the right hand did the damage. You know. Are you looking to stop a guy with an uppercut like Charlo does or something? You know, a nice uppercut.
I forgot.
Yeah, it's whatever somebody comments.
No, the most fans, whatever punch they say, that's what we're gonna do and stop the
Yeah,
next guy.
that's what I do with it.
Let the fans pick which punch he wants. They want him.
All right. I do want to see an uppercut.
The right uppercut? You said the right uppercut?
Yeah, right uppercut.
Right uppercut for the next one.
If you get a right uppercut knockout in your next fight, I'll be amazed. I'll tell you that right now.
I'll be working on it in the gym.
Yo, this reminds me of because you know Ali. I have a poster of right here. You know, he used to like predict the rounds. You know, but you're taking the type of punch. You know,
Right.
I
okay.
ain't put rounds yet. Give me a couple more fights.
Nah, because they will be underestimating somebody we pick now. We can
Right,
pick
right.
we can set up
Hey.
the punch.
Hey, shout out to Mom too. I love Mom. Mom's running a tight ship. I love that.
Yep.
Hey, there you go, man. Nothing like a nice support system for sure. I feel like a lot of, you know, right now there's a trend in boxing, and a lot of the most successful boxers, whether it's Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, Inoue, you name it, you know,
Family.
Devin Haney, they're working with their fathers. You know what I mean?
Family business.
And right now, you know, well, what do you make of that? You know, do you think your tight relationship with your father is, you know, going to contribute to you having a lot of success in the future?
Yeah, because he has my best interest. Like, if I were to have a whole different coach that didn't not even blood related, you know, at the end of the day, he's not obligated to be there by my side and take care of me. So I feel like it's best to have like your father as your trainer because he's gonna want the best for you, and he's not in it for the money.
That's right. I'm gonna protect you that way.
Does your father train anybody else, or it's just you?
I mean, when my homeboys come to the gym, he'll probably work with them, but not really.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's good. All the focus on you, you know?
Yeah.
Take advantage of it, man. Yeah, and it seems like you're going to. I mean, you're fighting every month. Like that's gonna do some good for you, man. I look forward to seeing you on Telemundo.
Yeah.
Right uppercut.
Yeah, we're right up, like y'all said.
There you go. We're gonna be looking for it, you know.
Okay, that's right. Well, we're gonna be having to look out for that now. So what we learned today, we need to make sure BoxRec fixes the amateur record.
Yeah.
Like, what do you remember in the amateurs? Like, what's the punch that usually hurt guys with in the amateurs to stop them?
It depended. Like every punch, I believe I stopped the guy with a jab. I say though, like the straight punches mostly. And I had a couple.
Tell him we could send him. We could send him an
Yeah,
video.
I could send you some videos.
Yeah, for sure.
But mostly it came from the straight punches, like the right hand. I had some with the hooks. But I would say straight punches get there faster and they're more effective, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I always tend to give the advantage to the guy who throws those short, straight punches, man, because they can get right in between another fighter's shots. Like I think we seen that in the first fight that you had where you stopped that guy. It looked like he was getting ready to throw something, and you just got there quicker, and he was out of there.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, Floyd Schofield, Kid Austin, want to thank you for coming on.
No problem.
It's been a pleasure. Showed up on time. You know what I mean? What do you want to say to the boxing fans out there? Whatever it is that you want to say, what message do you have to anybody out there, man? What do you want to say to the fans?
Stay tuned. I'm coming for my belts. Ooh. Oh, and I also want to say hi to Floyd Mayweather if he's out there.
Okay.
He's most likely going to see this. But
Okay. Yeah. And do you have? I mean, I know every kid has social media, but let the people know who watch this and the people who are watching live where they can find you on social media.
Kid_Austin1 on Instagram, Floyd Schofield III on Facebook, and FloydSchofield.com for my website.
Okay.
Nice.
Awesome. And I'm anticipating a couple of years you will be in the middle of a boxing ring, and you will hear the words and the new, and it will raise your arm, right? Hey, it's gonna happen if you keep going. You know what I mean? So keep up the good work.
Yeah,
and we'll be watching.
Yeah, I got one more request for you, man. If you get that stoppage with that right uppercut, make sure you give a shout out to the Hispanics causing panic on Telemundo.
I'll mention the interview after.
You don't even remember what he said.
The Hispanic.
Hispanics causing panic.
I have the poster. I remember it.
Yeah,
No doubt, man.
It's just HCP. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there we go. All right, man. Have a good one, man.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Take it easy.
There we go, guys. You know what I mean? Young, hungry, already guaranteeing knockouts with a certain type of punch. Well, what else can you ask for? I don't think you could ask for any more than that. You know
this kid wants a belt in his first year, man. He's hungry.
oh, I don't know about that, but it's good to dream. You know what I mean? But you know, he'll be got it the right way, I think. You know what I mean? A shout out to everybody. Make sure you jab the like button. We'll have Isa Marie Aquino in a little bit. Okay, will be joining us, man. Well, what you think, Alex? What you think of there, man?
I love hearing several things. I love hearing he wants to fight once a month. Activity, especially at that point in your career. Activity. Keep fighting. Stay fresh. Get your ring experience, get your ring IQ. I also love the family business. You heard mom right there. Mom's supportive, but dad's in the ring as well. And you have, it's interesting, man. You have these dads who train their sons, and their sons are their only fighter. I love seeing that too. Like Angel Garcia, Danny Garcia is his only fighter. I remember when Joe Calzaghe's dad, Enzo Calzaghe, that was his only serious fighter as well. I think he picked up some more later on in his career. But I love the fact that these dads are taking on their sons and they're sticking with them because you know they're going to get a lot of pressure to pass them on. So you like to see that strong support system. They're going to have their kids back. They're going to know what to do with their career. So I love seeing that.
What you think, Chief Funky?
Yeah, man, I like the kid's energy. You know, what I really like is this, man. I like that competitiveness that he has where he's like, look, man, there's no friends in this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't take it personal. Like, if I get in there with one of these guys, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to try to beat the living hell out of him because that's my job and I'm here to win. You know, I really like that, man. That's the way I look at competition. That's the way I look at it when it comes to sports. I feel like that's missing a lot, especially in boxing over the last, 10 to 15 years. I was never a big fan of the guys that, you know, you're in the middle of a fight and something happens. It's like, oh, here, let me tap gloves with you for this or for that. Like, it just always bothered me, man. It's like, tap after the fucking fight. Like, be friends after the fight. You know, like right now we're in the middle of a war, you know, like I'm trying to kill you, you trying to kill me. Like, let's do that after the fight, you know, and I really like that attitude, man.
Look at Ortiz Sr. He only trains Virgil Ortiz. He's been offered a lot of money in his own gym, but he wants to focus on Virgil. Teofimo Sr. wants to focus on his son. Like they do have that direct focus and that connection. and that matters in boxing. You know what I mean? And it's not an accident that we're seeing a lot of dads successfully train their kids in boxing. You know, it just isn't. You know, and in some cases, like in Ryan Garcia's case, that dad kind of passes him on, like to Reynoso or something. But hey, man, if it ain't broken, you don't fix it.
Right.
Hey, Calix, I want to ask you something, man. Are you like how pumped are you after that Caleb Plant performance over Caleb Truax? I don't know if you knew this, but Brian Kenny let us know several times that this is like it was the battle of the Calebs. I don't know if you knew that, but he let us know. Well, what do you think, man? Well, what's your impression now after a couple days of letting it sink in of Caleb Plant's performance?
It's not much different than, and that's why I like to wait till Monday to do my breakdown videos, give it a little time to marinate, and that's what I did yesterday, and I was still disappointed. It was just lackluster to me, and Brian Kenny kept mentioning that this is the only boxing match ever where two Calebs fought each other. It's like, really? You don't need to know that, but it was just frustrating to watch, and halfway through the fight, I knew where it was going. It was going towards Truax is going to last. Plant's going to sort of coast to victory. But I stuck around for the post-fight interview because I wanted to stick. The two things we wanted from Caleb Plant were we wanted a entertaining and decisive victory. We didn't get that. And we also wanted a clear call out of Canelo after the fight. And we didn't get that because the interviewer after the fight asked him clearly, do you want the Canelo fight, or what do you think about Canelo? And he gave the bland copy and paste answer. I want to unify, and I want to unify here on Fox. Okay, but mention his name. Mention his name. Say, I want Canelo. Do the WWE thing. I want Canelo. I want him before the end of the year. Let's do this. Let's unify. You have to mention the guy's name. And that's two straight fights after the fight where he failed to mention Canelo's name. And I'm wondering what's going on here. Is there a reason? Are there red flags that we don't know about? And I hate to be, I don't want to make it sound to where I'm so down on him because it was a good performance. It was a decent performance. I give it like a C plus. So it wasn't that he was bad, and he could have had a bad hand injury in the fourth round, fifth round, like he said, that hindered him. But he still had that power hand. There's still a high ceiling for him. There's still a high ceiling for him, right? I mean, he's a good combination puncher. He's a good defensive fighter. He has good lateral movement, athletic guy, seems to have power, goes to the body well. It all seems to be there, but there still seems to be something missing at the same time.
Right.
And are there red flags we don't know about? Is there a reason they're not stepping him up, that they haven't been stepping him up? And it's 2021, man. Everybody had 2020 off. It's time to step
So let's do this, Calix. We have our next guest. Just to hold that thought, or the remainder of your thoughts, okay? And the guest is here. Isa Marie Aquino. Am I pronouncing that right?
It's Isamary.
Isa Marie. Okay, there we go. First of all, how are you doing?
Good. How are y'all?
Good.
Good.
Post-fight body aches? Is it, are you waking up hurting? What's going on?
No, I feel pretty good actually. And just ready for the next one.
All right. I want to ask you because we just had a guest on, and he says that the BoxRec amateur record is wrong. It says here your amateur record is 29-9 with 0 knockouts. Is that correct? Does that sound correct?
No, that's not right at all. I have I almost have like 90 fights, like amateur fights.
D-Style, we need to make a call to BoxRec, man. We got to get this thing straightened out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. You got everything wrong. Like, what's
You've been drinking too many of these, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good thing. Okay, all right. Do you have stoppages in the amateur?
Like 2 or 3 only.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you had a professional debut. I mean, walk me through this, right? You're in the locker room. You're getting ready. They wrap your hands. They put on those smaller gloves. What's running through your head?
Yeah, no, it was just like everything I had worked towards. But really, like, I had never thought that I would go pro. I always thought that, like, my goal for me was to go to the Olympics. and then be done with boxing. But like, unfortunately, I didn't make the Olympic team, and I thought I was gonna be done with boxing right then and there. But then the opportunity to come pro like came, and I kind of just ran with it. So really, like, it was all kind of surreal to me, like, to be there. And with the small gloves, like, it's boxing is totally different. Like, it's not only like getting hit, but hitting with the small gloves, like, you can feel literally everything. Like, you can feel like the impact of your punches. It's crazy.
All right. Was there a different nervousness in that pro fight than you had in the amateur fights?
A little bit, but also like in a way it kind of felt more calm, because in amateur fights, like when we're used to going to tournaments and having to weigh in every day and fight random people every day. So this one is just one fight that I had to focus on. And really, like, I felt kind of calm the whole time until, like, obviously, like, walking towards the ring. And then, but after that first fight, after that first punch that you get hit, it's kind of over after that. Like, it feels normal.
I was just gonna ask you that. Like, when do the butterflies go away? Would it be the first bell ring or the
Nah.
first punch that lands? You know?
Nah, like, even still on the first bell, like, I'm still like, oh, like, is this real? Like, nah. Like, I still feel kind of nervous. But once I get hit, it's kind of a done deal after that.
Okay. You said it at an opportunity, like, your dream was to go to the Olympics. You said you did not make the Olympic team, but you said an opportunity came. What was that opportunity? Like, what changed for you as far as making that decision to retire rather than go pro?
Yeah, so manager, like, different types of managers started like contacting me, and at first I didn't really like what they had to say, but then I met one and it kind of changed, and so I just ran with it.
Okay.
I want to ask you something here. Now, traditionally, like for me, the women in the family, they weren't allowed to fight or anything like that. It was always the man's job to protect them and stuff like that. So it took me a while to get used to the women's boxing. How many members of your family were trying to talk you out of fighting?
No, but the crazy thing is, it was my dad that like started me off. He wanted me to learn how to defend myself, like, but his reasoning was like for like boyfriends that wanted to like they didn't have to watch out for me when I started having boyfriends. They had to watch out for me in school. But like nobody thought that I would have wanted to like fight for real. And my mom, she didn't like that idea at all. Like in the beginning, she wanted me to do like ballet and be a cheerleader. And my older like uncles and my grandpa, they were like, women don't fight and this, like they're supposed to be at home. But now everybody is like a big fan of my boxing, especially now after this fight. Like everybody, most of my family members, they tuned in and they saw like, wow, like she can actually fight. Like she's not just out here playing.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's spoken like a true father. Your father, when he says, "I want you to be able to fight off the boys."
Yeah.
So how old were you, like when that happened? Like when your dad?
I was actually only 5 when I started going to the boxing gym, but I would go with my brother, like my oldest brother, because he was getting bullied in school. So like he brought me along too. And then our deal was that I was gonna quit when I was 15 because I didn't like boxing like at all.
Oh.
So, but it just happened that when I turned 15, I made Team USA for the first time. So I kind of just ran with it.
Okay. So I mean, the obvious for boxing not liking this is you're getting hit, right?
Yeah.
What was it just that, or was it also the training? Was it because you had other things you wanted to do? Like what? What was it exactly you didn't like?
It was like the training mostly. That I didn't like how I always had to be there like every day. And I also had like other interests. Like I was doing other sports too. So it wasn't just boxing occupying my time. But then it just so happened that boxing was the thing I was best at. So here I am still.
How would you describe your boxing style right now for anyone who hasn't watched you fight.
My boxing style right now, it's kind of like I kind of adapt, I guess, to my situation. Like I can box, I can bang if I want to, but it's kind of a mix of both. I'm aggressive. I use my jab a lot, and I attack the body. So it's kind of a mix. I don't know how to explain it.
Did you ever look at like when you were growing up boxing and you're in the amateurs, like did you look at the women pros like and ever say to yourself like I could take them? Like, did you ever feel that way? Like, do you feel that way right now?
Well, I don't know. Like, to be honest, I don't watch a lot of boxing, especially women boxing. But I would see like the pros, like they would have like a lot of pros like cards around like the city where I'm from, technically. And I would see them fight, and a lot of the older women that are pros, like not the ones that came up from the amateur program, but the ones that like kind of just turned pro immediately after starting boxing. Like, yeah, like I can, like I'll see them and they won't have a lot of skill. They're just really aggressive. So I guess like skill wise, like, yeah, like I can outbox them.
So, would you rather professional boxing for women be 3-minute rounds? Are you okay with 2 minutes?
Yeah, definitely. I would rather have it 3 minutes.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm noticing a trend here. A lot of the older kind of guard likes it 2 minutes, and they say that like, we can't do 3 minutes. But I'm noticing a lot of the women coming in now from the amateurs, probably used to 3 minutes, want the 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, because the
what I'm
2 minutes
noticing.
is a different adjustment, and it's like less time to actually get to work.
Okay.
It's really fast too. Like I know when I'm sitting at home and I'm watching, like it's hard to score the rounds because it's so fast, you know. And then the women, they're really fast too. They're in there throwing a lot of punches at each other. It's like, man, like if I had an extra minute, maybe somebody might take over or something. But you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
you think you'll be okay doing 3 minute rounds? Like you won't have to do anything different. You'll be fine just going 3 minutes right now.
Yeah, because in the amateurs, that's what we would fight too. 3-minute rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
What city are you training out of?
Right now, I live in Houston. So I was originally from San Antonio for a minute, and then now I moved down to Houston because is where I train at now.
Fight Town.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Texas, stand up.
Houston's a fight town.
I told you guys all about Texas, but take us back to when you were in Team USA. What was that experience like, and how do you think that made you improve as a fighter?
Well, Team USA kind of made me fall in love with boxing because it gave me the opportunity to travel the world and meet with different boxers like all over the country, all over the U.S., and really get into that atmosphere and be with world-class coaches and just meet different people all around the world. Like, it really opened my eyes to, like, that there was more life, there was more opportunity in boxing than just, like, the local things that I knew. And I'm just overall, like, really grateful because it broadened my perspective of the world.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. When do you believe? Because you're young, you got time. There's no rush, but in women's boxing, it's not like the pool of talent isn't as big as it is with the men, right? So you can move up a lot faster, right? Mm-hmm. When do you see yourself contending, like being a contender, and maybe fighting for a world championship? Like how far from now?
How far from now? I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. Maybe.
Okay. Just go one fight at a time.
One fight at a time. Like this.
Call somebody out right now.
It's too soon to be talking about being a contender and world champion. So.
There you go. Because look, I honestly believe that the crop of talent coming in for women's boxing is just far more talented than the old guard. I just feel that way.
Yeah, definitely. The amateur program has really like prepared most of these female fighters like to come up and do some damage in the pros.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like another thing that's going on too is they see the success that females have in UFC, and they're trying to follow that trend too. And I wonder if they're going to try to groom more female boxers to go to the UFC. Would that be something you would be interested in
Not at all.
no
Not at
You gotta
grappling?
get in
all.
that cage.
Not at all. Punches are enough. Those kicks and them elbows, that's
Right.
something different.
I ain't gonna get choked out. Like hit me
Yeah,
with your
I'm
foot.
not gonna get
Yeah,
choked out, man. Watch out.
yeah. Especially now. I mean, it's that's something just like boxing, right? You want to start at a young age and
Yeah,
go from
Nice.
there.
because once you get to the ground, that's another story. Like,
Right,
Yep.
right. Yeah. If
Very
it wasn't
true.
boxing, like what do you think you would be doing if you weren't boxing right now? Like what were your aspirations? What was your backup
so,
plan?
so originally, when I was in high school, I was really big on like track and cross country, and I actually got offered a few scholarships, like to go to school for cross country. And so I was gonna do that, but then my boxing kind of took off, so I stopped focusing so much on track and cross country, and I started focusing my time on boxing. But the plan is still to get my degree though from school.
Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
that's why she wants to box 3 rounds. She's doing cross country and like all this other stuff. Getting scholarships. Could have.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times, like I'm not sure about women's boxing, but at least with the males, I've seen times when the following has happened. Like the boxer that has like no plan B and that's all they have
Yeah.
really doesn't like the boxers that have a plan B and could get an education and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're going to run into that. I don't know who it's going to be, but you're going to run into that fighter that's going to tell you at the weigh-in or something like, this is all I got, and you're not going to take this from me. Are you ready for that? Because there's a lot of boxers out there.
Yeah.
This is all they got.
Well, yeah, I think everybody should have a plan B because this boxing stuff isn't forever, and anything can happen. You can get hurt, you can get whatever, you can start losing, and then that's it. That's it for you. You have to know what's gonna come next. You have to have a plan B, no matter what. And that's why, like, I'm going to school, like, because I know this boxing stuff's not forever. It's not gonna, and I don't want to fight all my life either.
Nice. So speaking of fighting, what are the plans? You guys have anything lined up for a fight coming soon or anything like that?
Yeah, so actually in March I'm gonna have my second fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it on be televised or anything like that? We could see it possibly or anything like that, or
It's gonna be live streamed again.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So knockout or what? Or decision?
Knockout. We're not looking for knockouts right now, but just boxing. Mostly it'll probably be decision. So right now I'm just gonna focus on, developing myself and getting really adjusted to the pro style.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I like that. You gotta examine things first. Go in there and see what the opponent has for you. But if the knockout is there, you're gonna take it, right?
Yeah,
I love to see a knockout.
No, yeah, for sure. If it's there, we'll take it, but we're not fishing for it.
Okay, got you.
Absolutely. That a question here. Where's the fight going to be? Do you know, like the location?
Most likely Costa Rica again, but still have to work out the details.
All right. What was harder, the weight cut or the fight?
The weight cut probably, but yeah. So originally I was supposed to go lower, but something happened and we had to get the fight a little bit bigger. But the next fight I will cut lower. But the whole time I was thinking that I was going to be in the lower weight class, but at the last minute we had to bump up.
So you're supposed to be a featherweight, is that correct?
Mostly the goal is to get down to 118. So that was what I was working towards.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just took
Super
this fight
bantam,
right now.
right?
Yeah. No, bantam.
Okay. All right. I have a question from the chat here. Is are you a southpaw or do you fight from an orthodox stance?
No, I'm an orthodox.
Orthodox. Okay. There you go. All right. Well, look, it's been great having you on. We do appreciate you taking the time. We hope to have you in the future as your journey continues in this boxing world. It's just one fight in. We'll see where it goes. Could move pretty quick up in the women's ranks, so we'll see where you are in a couple of fights. Anything you want to say to the boxing fans out there?
Just thank y'all for supporting me in my journey, and I hope we just keep it going and y'all keep showing love. So thank you.
That's right. All right. So thank you for coming on. HCP, Hispanics causing panic. I want you to cause some panic out there. You know, we need you to scare those UK boxers. You know, we need you to scare all these, you know, like just go out there and never be scared to talk some trash. Like, you know, just do what you got to do. All right.
For sure. All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Bye.
Good night.
Well, there you go, guys. Hey, what you think, Alex?
Oh, good. Like I said, man, it's going to be interesting to see what develops with female boxing in the next couple of years. Will there be stagnation, or will this trend continue where they see the success that's happening in the UFC and women's boxing starts to take off as well? I'm interested to see what happens with that. I'm also interested to see, will there be, you guys, I like the question, will we be going to 3-minute rounds? Because that's a question a lot of people have been asking, and I like her answer too. Give us a 3-minute rounds. Let's do it. I like that answer.
A lot of the ones coming from the amateurs, like the young girls, will want 3-minute rounds, and that speaks volumes. You know what I mean? A lot of the veteran fighters don't want 3-minute rounds, but it's just a different world, man. It's a different athlete that's coming into the women's boxing now. You know what I mean? It just is. It's an Olympic sport now. You make something an Olympic sport, you're going to get better athletes out of it. It's the way it is. Why? Because a lot of countries are investing in it now. You know what I mean?
You know, the interesting thing too is I like when she said that her dad is the one who brought her up, because I feel like a lot of dads are the same way. Me having a 3-year-old daughter and 2-year-old daughter, I would be the one wanting them to learn combat sports and defend themselves and protect themselves from everything that's out there. And I feel like it's the mother who is more nurturing and will want to stop that from happening.
Right.
So it's interesting to see. I think you're going to see a lot of women come up, a lot of women boxers come up that way too. Just learning combat sports from their dads or their uncles.
That's right. So as we're going to do, guys, just going to take a little quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
We come out chased by hounds. Round and round we go, wearing a pinche rabbit's foot for luck, just ahead of the fucking hounds. ¿Qué hubo? ¡Ah! ¡Qué vida es! ¡Qué loca vida, home!
Como decimos en México, hay que dejarnos de mamadas. No hay que... Los cinturones aquí se hacen a un lado. Hay que pelear por honor y por gloria nada más.
I invite him into the ring, and like we say in Mexico, we don't fuck around. We don't fight for rings and stuff like that. I don't fear anyone.
En este deporte no se viene a jugar y no le tengo miedo a nadie.
We don't come to play in this sport. I fear no one in this sport.
What's your prediction for the fight, then?
Prediction?
Yes, prediction.
Pain.
Como decimos en México, hay que dejarnos de mamadas.
We come out chased by hounds.
All right, guys. Thank you for that little break there. Shout out to A-Rod, Sonteo, Hits 49, Stick 9115, JC, Run PMC, Andre Rodriguez, Miguel Nava, JC, The GOAT, Amy Green, Leave It in the Ring, and everybody out there, man. If Pac-Man, Maestro, obviously, A-Rod. Shout out to everyone. Thank you for being here, Skinny Kitty, Tracy, Boxer Girl. what's going on. Make sure you throw a jab at the like button. And once again, shout out to everybody listening on the Leave It in the Ring network, whether it's iHeart, Pandora, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, you name it. Shout out to you guys. Hey, let's go ahead and get this one started here. Shout out once again to Floyd Schofield and Isa Marie Aquino, both young prospects, and we'll see what they're going to bring in the future. All right. Calix, go to finish your thoughts on Plant, Truax, man, and also follow up with how do you think this landscape's looking with Canelo at 168?
The landscape's looking great for Canelo at 168. I think he has a very good chance of unifying the division by the end of the year. We'll talk about May, I'm sure, later on in the show, so I won't touch on that. But the landscape's looking really good for him. I think he matches up very well with these other guys. Stylistically, and not only that, demeanor-wise, I think he has more of a dog in him than the rest of these guys do. It seems like a lot of these other top guys at 168, it seems like they don't really want the smoke, but they're forced into it now because of the money. And they've been cornered by Canelo's being very aggressive right now, man. Just fought in December, going to fight again in February, and already lining up something for May. But as far as Caleb Plant, man, I got to be honest, I was just disappointed with the performance Saturday night. I thought I was expecting more. Like I said, there were two things I wanted to see from him. Wanted to see a decisive and entertaining victory. Didn't get that. I felt it was lackluster. Fifth or sixth round, I just found myself disinterested. Knew where it was going. Knew that he was just going to coast to a victory. But he still showed his skills, very good skills. And then I wanted him to call out Canelo clearly after the fight. It was his moment, man. You're on Fox. Everything was set up for you. This opponent was set up for you. You're on national television, on Fox. The question was set up for you. You had time to rehearse it. And to me, he failed on both ends of it. But he did what he had to do. And he has the easiest pathway to a unification in recent memory, right? Because he can watch Canelo fight December, February. Canelo's going to fight another unification fight in May. And then Plant just has to sit back and say, okay, I'll just fight these other guys that aren't that good. And then I'll walk into a Canelo fight later on in the year. That's an easy pathway to a unification fight against the cash cow and the pound-for-pound champ in boxing. So he should be counting his lucky stars that he's in this position and start getting ready for Canelo.
Chief Funky, talk to us. I know you were pumped. I mean, you couldn't even sleep with the excitement that night. You were like, man, what a performance by Plant. I mean, this performance was amazing is what you said. All right? I mean, just talk to us about this unbelievable performance by Plant. I mean, you know how many boxing fans we made on Saturday night? You know how many people said, whoa, what's this? Man, what I've been missing? The hell with the UFC, the hell with all these other sports. I'm a boxing fan now. All right, but talk to us.
I sure hope that was the case. You know, this was like you said, a masterpiece, man, by Plant. I mean, he looked spectacular. I mean, look, here's the thing, man. I was like Calix, man. I was expecting more out of Plant, especially with the opponent that he was in there with, a guy who's, in my opinion, who's past it. He was there. He was ripe for the picking, you know, and should Plant have knocked him out cold, like stretched him out on the mat? I mean, I don't think he's that kind of puncher, to be honest with you. But he could have him into submission. You know what I'm saying? He could have let his hands go enough to where the referee had to step in. The corner might have stepped in. Maybe the guy took a knee, decided not to get up anymore. But the guy was there all 12 rounds, stood on his feet all 12 rounds. And that's not going to help his case here. To make a Canelo fight more appealing to the public, you know, that's the thing that people have to understand is this. Look, I would be more impressed with him shutting out a guy 12 rounds if it was a legit opponent. You know what I'm saying? If it was a top contender, right, then I'd be like, wow, this was incredible, you know. This is a great performance. He beat him
Truax, bro. What do you
nothing,
mean?
you know.
Caleb Truax.
But yeah, Truax is what I'm saying. Truax should have been out of
True
there.
is in his name, bro. Like truth, true. Truax.
He truly should have been out of there. I mean, like I said, I didn't expect him to knock him out with one punch, but I expected him to let those quote unquote sweet hands go, bust this guy up, swell him up, make him quit. Make the referee just say, "Hey, that's enough, man." Then he came with the
sweet
excuse.
hands, he's got a little.
Then he came with the excuse after the fight that he broke his hand. Now I'll be honest with you.
I think I broke it, guys.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but to me, when you're doing this, when the fight's over, after you just claim that you broke your hand, like that's a little fishy to me. Okay, that's a little bit fishy to me.
I think I broke my hand a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's broken. And it was also very disappointing to not hear him say Canelo's name in the post-fight interview.
How the
just like
fuck
when,
you don't do that?
Yeah, just like with Earl Spence after the Danny Garcia fight. Crawford was there. I was expecting him to say, I want to beat your ass, whatever it may be. Didn't get that there. We didn't get that with Plant. I don't know, man. Maybe there's something wrong with these PBC guys, man. They're not afraid to call guys out, or I don't know what it is, man. But I wanted to see that for sure.
Let me tell you something right now, okay? This Plant topic is so boring, right? That I'm falling asleep on my own show. Right? That's how boring talking about Plant is, right? Because there's nothing to say. You watch one round of that fight, you watch all of them, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Pretty much.
You replay round one. That's pretty much the fight, right? I saw your video, Cal. You said you were playing video games in the middle of the fight.
Yeah. So the sixth round, I knew where it was going. So my son was sitting there watching. My 6-year-old son was watching, and we started playing the Nintendo Switch as we're watching it from the corner of my eye. But you knew it's one of those fights. You knew he was going to win before, because the fight even started because of the odds. I mean, it was set up for him. Now the question is, was it set up for him to go rounds against a guy like Truax, who is a veteran? I mean, let's give him some credit. He is a veteran. He has a good chin. But to me, that's the guy. He's worn down. I don't think the fight was set up for him to go rounds. I think the fight was set up for him to look entertaining and set up that Canelo fight. And he's going to get it regardless. And people will be excited about the fight, but I feel like people are going to be excited about the fight because Canelo is doing all the legwork, man. Canelo is doing all the legwork for these guys at 168.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you guys remember Family Feud, the show?
Yeah.
Remember how you get three strikes, 3 X's? Right? If this was to set up a fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez, okay? If this was to set up a fight against Canelo, he picked an opponent called Truax. He looked like shit. And he didn't call him out after the fight. That's what that is. Okay? I mean, you struck out, bro. You did everything wrong. You picked a horrible opponent. You had a horrible performance. And you didn't call the dude out after the fight. That's just the truth. And look at this shirt. Look at this shirt, by the way. Okay? I'm just saying. Coming out soon. All right? I'm telling you right now. And yo, Skinny Kitty, telling the truth isn't hate. Was Truax a world-class fighter? If he was, then let me know. If that's what it was.
And I want to mention,
was the fight entertaining, Skinny Kitty? Were you entertained? Is that a fight that you will pick up the phone and tell your friends who like, oh, dude, you got to watch this fight. Like, dude, right now, drop what you're doing and go watch this fight. Nah, but I'm at the bar drinking like some Coors Lights, bro. What do you mean? No, bro. You got to go and request that the bartender puts on that fight on the TV. You want the whole bar to watch it. Was it really that type of fight? No, it was not. Okay? It just wasn't. This is the type of fight I would like to hide. It's not the fight I want people to see. This isn't the type of event I want to see. Boxing isn't in a position to be losing fans. Okay? Like it's not in a position to waste valuable airtime on a Saturday night. Okay? Fox had Tom Brady versus Rodgers with 50 million people watching on a Sunday. 6 days later, that's the shit they put on. They promoted the fight during that game. And that's the fight they give us. Well, go ahead, Caleb.
No, and by the way, the fight before and before that weren't that good either. But I want to say, I like Plant. I really do, and I wanted him to be successful in this fight. I really did. So I'm not coming from it as a position of hate. I like Canelo as well. I've been very transparent about that. I'm a Canelo fan, so I'm not coming at it as, oh, I'm a Canelo fan and I hate this guy. Anybody who's coming up against Canelo. No, I like Plant. I wanted him to be successful. I was disappointed.
I don't like him anymore.
Saturday night. I was very disappointed, and
he lost me.
He didn't lose me yet because
You're being way too nice.
No, I still think this guy has a lot of attributes that are good, and he has some things that if Canelo doesn't show up that night, which I highly doubt, he could give Canelo some issues. However, everything that Plant does, I feel like Canelo does better. So that's why I feel like right now I just don't see Plant giving him any problems. But I'm not ready to throw Plant away at all. I still think he's a very talented fighter. Maybe he had an off night because last fight he didn't look that bad. I mean, he had a good night in Nashville, so I'm not ready to throw him out. But there's got to be a reason they've been hesitant to step him up. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a red flag that we don't know about, and we can't even know
what I heard. You want to know what I heard? So Dwyer did drop the video. Shout out to Dwyer. Okay. I was mixing it up out here in the streets of YouTube, Dwyer is. But Dwyer said, you know what? I think there's something wrong with his right arm, his rotator cuff, because he's not shooting that right hand. You know, he doesn't look comfortable. You know, I don't know how he's coming up with that conclusion, but since Dwyer said it, I'm just bringing it up. You know what I mean? I don't know what he thinks he sees, but anyway, you guys done talking about plans? Should we go talk about somebody else?
I guess I'm done, man. Because again,
right,
it was not what I expected out of him, man. And for network television,
how do you not call out Canelo? Like, you have one job, dude.
Yeah, one last thought on that. Do you think it is, because I've seen several people bring this up in the chats, and this chat and then the chat that I had yesterday is, do you think PBC fighters are just very complacent because of the money they're making against inferior opposition? Because he made $750 for this fight. So you think he's just like, I'll just fight another average guy for another $750 or maybe even a cool mill? You think these guys are just complacent?
Get your money. It's all I got to say. I'm not going to hate on somebody that's going to get their money. Get your money. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, with $750,000, bro, you could have gotten some good B-level, C-level fighters and some really good fights live on Fox. You know what I mean? Like that's just point blank period. A lot of guys would have taken $100,000 to fight on Fox, okay, and giving you a hell of a fight. You know, so I get it, Skinny Kenny. I get that. But at the end of the day, here's what I want to ask you guys. Does Plant have a shot in hell against Canelo? G-Funk, does he have a shot in hell?
I think he has a shot to. Well, I would say yeah, but I don't think he beats him. I just don't think the power's there, and plus, I feel like these guys that use that sort of Mayweather type style of fighting, they're looking at the Mayweather that we all saw as young adults and not as teenagers. You know, like when we were teenagers, Pretty Boy Floyd was an offensive machine. When he was in those lower weight classes, he was good defensively as well back then, and his legs were much better. He was able to move around the ring a lot more. But man, those hands, he would let him go, and he would punish guys in the ring. You know, he would get several knockdowns in fights. It wasn't until he got up to the 140, the 147 divisions that the output started to go down, because he understood, I can't sit here and trade with these bigger guys. I could get hurt. You know, so I'm going to play defense a little more, pick my shots wisely. That's the way that these guys fight nowadays. And I'm talking about guys like Plant. Same thing with Devin Haney. He fights the same exact way. So I think if they don't get out of that mentality of being safe, trying to land the perfect shot every time, not letting their hands go, they're gonna take some losses, man. They're gonna have to let their hands go, man. They're gonna get outworked. They're gonna get outpointed by guys with just pure volume. You know?
That's right. Because let me tell you something, man. Floyd didn't fight like that till he went to welterweight. Do you people understand this? Floyd didn't fight like that at 130 pounds. Floyd didn't fight like that at 130. Floyd didn't fight like that against Arturo Gatti at 140. I know Calix knows that. It gave him nightmares.
Yeah.
Calix couldn't sleep.
I couldn't sleep that night.
Like, Calix was like, you know what? At least Gatti's going to land one good punch at the very least. He didn't get that.
I was watching that fight like this. Like, I had one eye closed. That was rough.
That beating was so bad, Calix was sore the next day. What am I so sore?
That's right.
Like I'm telling you right now. By the way, jam my like button and tell us what you think. Shout out to Skinny Kenny. Even if you disagree, it's all good because we love all perspectives on here. Okay. It says PBC fighter versus average opposition like Spence, Garcia, Porter, Mikey Tank versus Leo, Charlo versus Harrison, twice Pac, Thurman, Porter, Garcia, Hurt, Harrison, Wilder, Fury, Wilder, Ortiz, bum fights. No, I'm not saying all fights are bum fights, but you know, where's is Plant's name on this list? Where's Platt's name? Oh, that's right. He hasn't been in one of those fights.
And something like Tank, I didn't consider Tank versus Leo a great matchup. I know you disagree with me on that, but I thought that was a complete mismatch.
Look, man,
I'm not calling out all PBC fighters, but there is there's something going on here to where, and there are exceptions, but PBC fighters, several of them seem to be very complacent. But I'm not throwing Plant away. If you ask me that, I do give Plant a shot. I put a poll question up in a community tab yesterday and asked, out of the three fighters, who gives Canelo the biggest problem at 168? Who has the best shot of beating him? And Plant was last. It was clearly Billy Diaz. Then it was Billy Joe Saunders. Then it was Plant. But I'm not throwing Plant away, man. I still think there's a lot to like there. I would actually put him second on that list. I had Benavidez. I would put that at about Benavidez versus Canelo. I'll put it about 2.5 to 1 favorite for Canelo. I'd put Canelo versus Plant about 3.5 to 1, and I put Canelo I think Canelo is going to easily beat Billy Joe Saunders. That's just my opinion. I don't think the boxing.
Here's what I want to get to. First of all, Andre Rodriguez says we are in a boxing generation influenced by lesser gods of the last generation. Man, like he's getting deep in here. You know what I mean? Last thing I want to say about the Floyd thing. Look, Floyd Mayweather did not fight like that, guys. Floyd Mayweather fought like that at welterweight because he was an undersized welterweight fighting bigger men. Okay, so he was getting older and he couldn't move as much with his feet, and would start using his shoulder roll more, start pot shotting more because he couldn't knock the guys out anymore, and he had hand problems. There's no reason why a young 21-year-old should be fighting like that in his first weight class. Okay? Mm-hmm. Seriously. B-Hop was defensive wizard and everything. What was B-Hop doing early in his career, Calix?
He was beating guys up.
More offensive minded. He wasn't a cage.
You ever wonder why his nickname was the Executioner? Like, why do they call this guy the Executioner? He's always pot shotting, going the distance. No, that's because he was beheading dudes a couple years back, even before he gave G-Funky nightmares. Okay, when he beat the shit out of Trinidad, G-Funky couldn't even sleep. You know what I mean?
I think I counted over 20 headbutts in that fight.
I counted like 20 low blows on Vargas, but you don't see me complaining. You know what I mean? But with that said, all right. With that said, Skinny Kenny Plant not a star yet. If he becomes one, says Skinny Kenny, he's not a star. Okay,
he's definitely not taking the route to get us to be a star.
What is that?
I'm saying he's definitely not taking the route to become a star. With this again, this was the perfect opportunity for him to make this dude look silly, make him look bad on national network television with a bunch of people watching. Instead, he goes the distance in a boring ass fight, man. Like, go in there and pound this dude. Get him out of there,
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Haplo Thai, Puerto Rican, Rum, Skinny Kenny, Maestro Y, and all those people. A shout out again to our two guests earlier in the show. I want to go ahead and get to this, man. Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders, May 1st. is the rumor. Now, granted, he's got to get to, the Anvil Neidhart first. And then once he's done with him, then he can move on to, the real deal. Plant didn't call out Canelo, although he has said in interviews with Fight Hype and stuff like that, or Fight Hub or whoever it was, that, you know what, I'm going to fight Canelo next. So I don't know why he thinks he calls the shots, because it looks like Canelo signed a short-term deal with Matchroom, and it looks like, hey, he's going to be able to get that Billy Joe Saunders fight. Why the hell not? Let's get that fight going. Unification, 168 pounds. It looks like 2021 it's going to be the year of undisputed, because while this fight won't be undisputed, I'm also hearing that the Ramirez-Taylor fight at 140 pounds for undisputed, it's going to be for at May 1st, allegedly, as well. Okay, Chief Funky, talk to us. What do you think about the potential, situation here that these two events could clash on the same day?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the powers that be will definitely work something out, because those are two great. Well, I shouldn't say two great. I think that the Canelo Saunders fight is a good fight. I do. I don't know if we're going to talk about that later, but I do think that it could be a good fight. But Taylor Ramirez is a much better fight, in my opinion. It's for undisputed. And if I had a choice, if somebody said, which one are you going to watch? I'm watching undisputed. No doubt about it. No disrespect to Canelo, but I'll watch that shit after, straight up. I would much rather watch Ramirez-Taylor. I think that's going to be a much better fight, much more entertaining. Although I do think that Canelo going to try to solve a puzzle with Billy Joe Saunders' movement will be something that I'm looking forward to. But I'd much rather watch the other one live.
Let's be real, G Funky. Most people are going to watch the Canelo fight. It's going to hurt the Ramirez-Taylor fight. It would just be 100.
I don't know. I mean, looking to see people in the chat right now, they're saying they're going to watch the other one, man. The Zone archives their stuff pretty quick, so I see it as a win-win in a way if they do it on the same night. I could watch that, quickly go over to the Zone and watch the Canelo fight right after,
Look, what they should do is the following, okay? Ramirez-Taylor, just do the fight at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's it. Done. Yeah. All right. I don't know why these promoters are stuck in this whole the fight has to happen at 1 a.m. Eastern time. That's the time to do a fight. Half the country's asleep at that time, bro. I don't know if that's what you want to do. And if they're not asleep, they're likely out of the house. More than likely. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. Which one would you watch, Alex? Assuming they make the fight on the same day, right? Well, which one would you watch?
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'll be watching Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders. That's just me. I don't have an issue with anybody else doing anything different, but I just don't see it coming to that. And I think the date that was announced is actually May 8th, not May 1st. I think the date is May 8th. You can correct me.
It might not even be an issue. All right.
But I think it's May 8th. Both of them are on May 8th right now. And then it's going to I think what they're going to do is move the other fight up to May 1st. I don't think they're going to counter program it, but I do like your idea of just leading that fight up into Canelo. But I don't see them going at the same time. I just don't think that is going to happen. Look, Canelo gets to call the shots. He's earned that right. So whether somebody had that date to begin with, especially when you're talking about Cinco de Mayo weekend, which they could have chose, from what I understand, May 1st or May 8th. They chose May 8th. Whatever date Canelo chooses, whatever time he chooses, you got to go give him his time, yield to it, and go somewhere else. Whether you put the fight earlier or you put the fight the weekend before or the weekend after, I would just go May 1st. You have time. It's only February 2nd, so I would just...
Well, how about this? Because obviously the same night conflict seems to be an ongoing issue, because Adrian Broner is going to be making his comeback the same night that Berchelt beats the shit out of Valdez. You know what I mean? That's the same night that the fight's going to happen. So I don't know, man. Well, look, I'm going to be watching Brashad Valdez. I just think that's a fight I cannot miss. And Broner versus Joe Schmo from Puerto Rico, or just isn't going to do it for me. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? No offense to the guy, I just don't know anything about him. If he beats Broner, then hey, I'll speak differently about it. But as of right now, I think there's a reason Broner picked that fighter. I think Broner knows he's going to win that fight, and that's that. But I don't know. Like look at this coming weekend. There's no significant fight. We have these weekends where we have no fights, and then these promoters and networks go at it head to head on these other weeks. Talk to me, Alex. What's going on with that?
Yeah, and that's something we've been frustrated with over the years. Hale and I have talked about that to wit's end. Why promoters don't get more clever about, like, it's Super Bowl weekend, so you could have done a Saturday night fight leading up to the Super Bowl on network TV as well. You could have put Caleb Plant this Saturday leading up to the Super Bowl. So yeah, they go on these lulls, and then like summertime, August. Why not take over August? August is a dead time for sports, and they could take over August. And instead of doing that, they just don't go. They wait till September. It's just frustrating to see what these promoters do. Why not have big American fights on 4th of July weekend? They don't do that either. Get more clever, get more creative, get these fighters in front of more people. It's frustrating, but the counter programming, yeah, we've seen it in the past when HBO and Showtime used to counter program each other. Remember when they used to do that all the time as well?
Yeah. Like, what it hurt? Like if Canelo fights on the Zone at 8 p.m. instead of midnight, is he really gonna get like less viewers? Like, is that really gonna be is that really a big deal? Like, what's with this? You know, these late ass fights at these late ass times. It doesn't make sense.
Either I'm getting older or the fights seem to be getting later. But remember that time when they counter programmed Canelo and Chavez Jr. against each other? Remember when they did that?
I was watching Chavez that night.
Yeah, I think that was when Chavez
that's like hater stuff, you know?
Yeah, but I think that was when Chavez fought
Sergio
Martinez, right?
Yeah, that was a better fight. It was
a better fight. Yeah,
it was a better fight because Canelo just fought a random dude that night.
Fought Josecito Lopez, a blown up 140 fighter.
He broke the jaw of Ortiz. It was supposed to be Ortiz versus Canelo. Now that would have been a little interesting just because of the name, but even then, I mean, Canelo would have battered up Ortiz. That's it. All right, Chief, fuck you. What do you make of this, man? Same, these conflicts and all this other bullshit. I mean, I just don't understand why boxing can't get more creative. Okay, it should be a first come first serve. If a boxing promoter announces a fight on a date, just do the fight. That if you're another promoter, just do your fight like an hour earlier or something. I don't know, but boxing not exactly the top 3 most popular sport to be competing with itself. You know what I mean?
Right. And let me tell you something, man. If they're on at the same time, I tried this before, man. It's difficult watching boxing on 2 different fights at the same time. You can do it with other sports like NBA, NFL, MLB. Those are easy to watch, multiple screens. But fighting's different. Anything can happen at any time. The fight can end at any time. I tried it before, man, and it's not the easiest thing. So I do hope that they get this thing worked out. But I'm telling you right now, I don't give a shit. I'm watching the unification bout if it's on the same night. That's the first thing I'm watching. Canelo's gonna have to take a back seat that night for me, man. Plus, I'm a big supporter of Ramirez. I love what he does out here in California for the farm workers. That really hits home with someone like me. So I'm always gonna support him. And I will definitely, but it's just a better fight. I mean, I don't think anybody. I mean, maybe there might be some people that disagree, but I think it's a much better fight, man.
Well, here's what I'll say to you, Funky. I'm not saying, they're both going to be unification fights. You know what I mean? Obviously, one's for undisputed, but the bigger fight's the Canelo fight. Objectively speaking, you know what I mean? I'm like your personal preference is that, but which is the bigger fight of the 2?
Oh, it's definitely Canelo because of his name.
Right.
A lot of hardcores, we know Billy Joe. Casuals don't really know him that well because the guy just doesn't really fight that often. you know. So that's really his fault. But yeah, Canelo carries the bigger name for sure. But for me, yeah, personal preference,
Gotcha.
Undisputed all day.
Hey man, Teofimo spoke out today. Fucking YouTube fights, he called it, but on Twitter he said he's tired of these YouTubers. Like he says, it's bad for the sport. Stop supporting these YouTubers, and a lot of people are agreeing with him. A lot of people are saying, "Hey, well are you mad because that they're getting more shine than you at the moment, or something, or what?" But here's what I'll say, man. I do think more boxers need to start, like asking themselves what makes a Jake Paul, and why do so many people want to watch him fight? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, if boxers haven't figured it out yet, like, you know what? Not everything is about how good I am, right? Like obviously that matters a lot. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But there's just more to the fight game in terms of putting yourself out there that comes into play. Whether it's good or bad, I'm not saying it's one or the other. I'll let you guys decide that. But what do you make of Teofimo Lopez, making statements on Twitter, Chief Fucky?
I mean, I like it, because I'll be honest with you. I don't even know what these Paul guys do to be so famous. I just got to be honest with you. I don't know what it is that they do.
They're YouTubers. They do videos on YouTube. That's what they do.
But I mean, do they do videos like us? Like that's what I mean. Like I don't,
They're
I don't know what it is that they do.
They're like they're vloggers, bro. Like they just do shit and like do videos about it. They're obviously creative because they have 20 million like subscribers. Like there's obviously something they're doing right.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
I've never
that,
watched.
that aside, they're not boxers, right? Like they're not.
Yeah, I've never.
boxers.
Like I say, I've never watched them except for the times that they've been trying to box in the ring. I agree with you, man. It's not always about your skills and your talent. You got to be able to sell yourself, man. We talked about this before, I believe, on my show, Uncensored, where we think that some of these fighters should definitely watch some pro wrestling, especially old school pro wrestling, where these guys will cut some all-time great promos to get the fans involved, to get the fans behind them and things like that. I think they should definitely take a note from pro wrestling, man, as far as the way to sell themselves to get over with the fans, Fighting, yes, we'll do it. But I mean, look, Teofimo, in 16 fights, he's become undisputed. Now, I know that people will argue that it is what it is, but he's done all the right things to become the best lightweight in the world, no doubt about it, in 16 fights. Yet there's other guys who haven't done really nothing compared to that, who are more popular than him, like a Ryan Garcia, even a Tank Davis,
Yeah.
So it's all about, again, trying to sell yourself and become popular nowadays. The belts, unfortunately, they don't mean what they used to. Back in the day, big fights, whether you were the quote unquote A side, if you were going for a belt, in a lot of the bigger fights, the guy with the belt who was the B side, he got more of the money because they had something that the A side wanted, which was that belt. They wanted to be champion. It's not like that anymore, man, unfortunately. So, I agree with what he's saying. It's time to do away with this crap and let's just get back to business, but still, you still have to be able to sell yourself at the end of the day,
Well, here's what I want to say, because I keep hearing that a lot from boxing fans. Like, hey, I didn't know who the hell KSI and Logan Paul were when I heard they were going to fight. To be honest, I didn't know who the hell they were. But here's what I do know, okay? They got over 20 million subscribers on YouTube, okay? Like that is a retarded amount. Like that is crazy, all right? The people that when they sold out the Staples Center, okay? Like it was not a boxing crowd there at all. You know what I mean? So I'll just say this. We need Floyd Mayweather Jr. to beat the shit out of Logan Paul. Not carry him, okay? Not, do some other shit. No, we need you to beat the living shit out of this dude is what we need, okay? Point blank, period. Like no mercy, no nothing. Just go in there and just let him know that this ain't for him. I have a feeling Floyd's going to carry him. I know the fight got postponed. He's going to carry him, and we're going to have a lot of idiots believing that like he went round to Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? Well, we'll see where it goes. You know, what do you make of this, Calix? Is these you know, Teofimo not happy with it?
The good news for Teofimo is he is doing all the right things, so he doesn't have to worry. He's doing the right things. He's fighting the best, and he's calling out people after fights. So it's all good to see his dad is entertaining as well, as you guys found out personally. So he's doing all the right things. He doesn't need to worry. But as I saw his tweet earlier, and I commented on it, that these boxers just being boring and not showing much urgency have left a vacuum for these guys to come in and take over and have these big events, right? I mean, let's be honest. If fighters were doing what fighters are supposed to do and behaving like fighters consistently across the prism of boxing, then we wouldn't have this. And if we did, it wouldn't be as big of a deal to these fighters because these fighters would be getting what they're worth as well. So they left a vacuum. They created a vacuum for these guys. I do think that Floyd's going to carry this guy when they do fight, if they do fight. But fighters just need to get more active. They need to, like I said, man, Plant was the example of that Saturday night. He had his opportunity after the fight to go WWE, call out Canelo, get people talking, get people buzzing, and not enough fighters are doing that. Errol Spence Jr., you brought up that example as well. It's not just about performing in the ring. You have to take risk in the ring. You have to take risk with the opponents you're fighting, fighting better opposition, but also you have to bring more to the table to captivate an audience. And Ryan Garcia is doing a good job of that outside of the ring. I mean, you've brought that up on several occasions. The guy has millions of followers on Instagram and wherever else. I don't even think he's on Twitter anymore, but he has a ton of following on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. The guy's everywhere. He's got his face everywhere, and that's what you need to be doing.
Absolutely. You know, Ryan Garcia is, and not only he just got a Gatorade deal. That's huge. He's going to be on Gatorade commercials. All right, like that's what an athlete wants, especially early in your career. Like to be getting something like that, I think that is a big deal, man. The GOAT says Canelo is great. Oh yeah, he is, man. I don't even know. Look, man, from 168 down. And look, I know anything's possible and anybody has a shot in any fight and all that. I know all that, but I just don't see the guy that could be Canelo right now. I just don't see it. From 168 down, I just don't see it. I just don't. Now, 175 is a different story. I think Beterbiev is a dangerous dude. I think Bivol's good. Some people saying, what if Bivol moves down? Then I don't know then. Because if Canelo beats Bivol 168, they're going to say he was wagering. You know what I mean? But those are the only two guys that I see that I would say before the fight, Canelo might lose this. That's I might even favor Beterbiev over Canelo. Like 60-40. You know what I mean? Because I think those are tough fights. But from 168 down, who would you favor in a fight against Canelo, Calix? Is there anybody? 160 down that you would say that's the favorite in the fight?
No, I mentioned the odds earlier. I would give Benavidez the best shot out of the three. But you do have a lot of people out there giving Billy Joe Saunders a shot. My issue with that is lateral movement doesn't bother Canelo how it used to. And I feel like the higher he steps up in weight, lateral movement doesn't bother him as much because he's actually the smaller, naturally quicker guy than a lot of these guys. It's not like he's fighting 147 pounders, 154 pounders who can move and use lateral movement against him. I think he's going to fare well against Billy Joe Saunders. I actually think that's a good matchup for him. I don't favor anybody over him at 168. 175 maybe, but the interesting thing about that is he already beat a top 3 or 4 guy at 175 against Kovalev, and he beat him easy. So he just showed that he matches up well against anybody between 160 and 175. I think he matches up well with everybody. 168, I don't see that person. But those top three guys will give him a run, though. Those are all interesting matchups. Saunders, Plant, Benavidez, all interesting matchups. The wild card is Benavidez because he doesn't seem to show much interest in being great, to be quite honest. But he does have an interesting style that could give all those guys an issue. And I don't see a guy moving up from 160 and beating Canelo either.
No. Hey, man, make sure you guys tune in to Uncensored tomorrow on Wednesday on G Funky's channel. All right. And, make sure you don't miss that. Okay. That's number one. Subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to Calix 2.0 as well. Right.
That's right.
He's going to start doing some shows as well and all that good stuff. So make sure you subscribe to his channel. A couple of things here, man. Thursday as well, man, the round table, right? Check out the round table. Check this out, okay? You're not going to be able to make the round table, Calix, but I want to ask you this. You see that on the screen?
I see it.
Now, let me explain, because I know people are going to be like, what? Let me explain this to everybody, okay?
Please do.
I know one's from Japan, one's from the Philippines, and one's from China, okay, or Hong Kong. I know that, okay? But they're all Asian, right? Mm-hmm. And for some reason, there's a lot of boxing fans that aren't sold with the Asian fighters, all right? They're not sold at all. They keep saying, Inoue, who's Inoue? Who's he beat? I mean, who are these guys that he's beat? I don't even know who he beat. Inoue? What do you mean Inoue? That's what they say. In other words, you know what I mean? At the end of the day. They're like, Inoue, moving on. But look, Pacquiao. Who is this guy, this Filipino? I don't believe a guy can move up that many weight classes and beat so many guys. I mean, I don't know. I think he was juicing. I think he's on the juice. Ain't no way somebody could be that good, especially like an Asian fighter. I don't know about that. That's suspicious. We've never seen an Asian go up so many weight classes and dominate, right? But then I hear those same people, whether it's uploaders, fans, and yes, in my own personal life, I know people like this. Bruce Lee could beat up Mike Tyson. Bruce Lee is the greatest fighter that ever lived. Bruce Lee was like water. Bruce Lee he's the founder of MMA, even though he isn't, okay? Well, Bruce Lee could beat up anybody, anytime, no matter what. Size doesn't matter. I don't care if it's Muhammad Ali. I don't care if it's Brock Lesnar, Cain Velasquez. Okay, the current, UFC champ, it don't matter. Bruce Lee could beat up anybody, anytime, anywhere. Yet, we don't have any footage of Bruce Lee fighting. We don't have a professional record of Bruce Lee fighting. All we have is movies. That's all we have, movies. But this time, he beat up Chuck Norris in a movie. Okay? In a movie. Now, Chief, you're going to be on the round table, but I want to ask Calix here. How could they not believe in these dudes? But they believe like Bruce Lee's the greatest shit ever.
Didn't Bruce Lee beat up Kareem?
Yes.
Sure.
Look, I don't know. I've heard these things as well about Bruce Lee. I love the movies. Enter the Dragon was incredible. I've heard this stuff that his hands were faster than the camera could capture. So he had to actually slow. Did you know that he actually had to slow down his punches?
That's everyone. That's everybody. Look, everyone's too fast for the camera.
So he actually had to slow down.
This was a 1080i cameras.
He had to slow down his hands so so the video could actually capture his hands. I don't know if you saw it. You saw that as well. But look, I'm a fan of all three. I'll just speak for myself. Um, I think what Bruce Lee did for his genre was incredible. I also have never seen the guy in a real fight, so I don't know. I have heard rumors as well that people used to walk up to him in Hong Kong and challenge him to fights, and he used to beat guys up in the street and all this stuff. I don't know what's true and what's myth. I don't know. I'm not a historical buff on Bruce Lee, but I will tell you that Manny Pacquiao is the real deal. I will tell you that. And you could actually make the argument that maybe Manny Pacquiao has the best resume in modern boxing history. Could you make that argument? And you could also make the argument that Inoue is top 5 pound for pound. So I consider all three real deal. So I don't know who these people. I feel like people
like Inoue and Pacquiao are proven commodities fighting real competition where there's real records of it, and we can actually see the fights. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Bruce Lee, literally, I don't know of any professional fight that he ever had that's on camera for me to assess him as a real deal and the same level as these real professional fighters, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen if UFC was around back then, or why not take a stab at American boxing back then for Bruce Lee? Like, wouldn't it be awesome if we'd have seen him in a 12-round fight, much like your boy did against Floyd Mayweather? Wouldn't it? That would have been interesting. An exhibition match against the I don't know, whoever was the top at that time. But I'm not a Bruce Lee history buff, so I don't know if there's real fights of him out there or not. If he fought real fights, I'm not sure. But what I can tell you for certain is Manny Pacquiao. I've never understood the revisionist history that goes on with him out there. Right. There seems to be a lot of revisionist history going on.
Let me tell you this, man. These guys always hating on my man Bruce Lee. All right, there is eyewitness accounts of this guy kicking ass, man, out there in the streets of Hong Kong on the set of movies, man. You think these guys like Jim Kelly, who's a real dude, a real black belt, Chuck Norris, all these dudes, you think these dudes that would lie about him, man, beating people up, man? Come on, bro.
That's a good point.
Chuck Norris has asked who would win in a fight. And Chuck Norris said, well, I was a real professional fighter. Bruce Lee wasn't.
Hey, I don't expect him to say anything different. I mean, I wouldn't. If somebody came up to me and said, who's going to win in a fight? G-Funk or D-Style? Well, of course I'm going to kick his ass. That's what I'm going to say every time, you know? But, you know, no, I get it, though. There's no real history of him. He didn't fight in any tournaments that I know of or any real footage of him fighting in real fights.
You had a good promo for the round table right there. Yeah. No, just kidding. You know what I mean?
No, I'm just saying, I agree with you on that. But at the same time, there's legit guys that say he did some real shit, man. You know?
Yeah, but a lot of these guys profited out of saying these things by opening martial arts schools. And hey, I worked with Bruce Lee and helped him get students and people to come to the school. They profited off of this.
Okay.
Like once Bruce Lee died, he was so popular that it was. If you said you were a pupil of Bruce Lee and you told these amazing Bruce Lee stories, people would show up. People buy merchandise. People wanted to be in that lineage of Bruce Lee. They wanted to get a black belt from somebody that Bruce Lee get a black belt too. There was money to be made. I'm just saying.
I don't think that's the full reason to say that. I mean, does that have something to do with it? Yeah, but I don't know, man. I'm still hearing these guys say it now when they're not even teaching. These guys are ancient. These guys are like dinosaurs now, and they're still saying it to this day. You know.
I mean, look, they're not proven though. Like you can't prove it. Like. You really believe the story that Bruce Lee beat up a bunch of dudes and then he destroyed the film footage of it because he didn't want people to see it? Do you really believe that? Yet somehow the story comes out?
I heard it was just one guy. I didn't hear it was multiple. I heard it was just one
Okay,
guy.
so he beat up a dude and he destroyed the footage, so no one knows about it yet. Everybody knows about it.
It's possible. I won't rule it out.
Come on now, come on.
I mean, I can't prove it, but you can't prove it either. It's one of those things. I can't prove it, but nobody else can.
I've heard you go on this rant too, and my question for you would be, in order for him to get to the status that he was, because it's not just he died and it's like Tupac and Biggie where he became bigger than, like, although there is some of that as well. He was humongous when he was alive. So
because he was a movie star.
No, but you have to have a certain amount of respect with your peers in order to pull that off, correct? Like, this isn't just like Jet Li or anybody like that. Like, he actually had real, like, people used to come to him to train his style from all over the world. So people actually saw him fighting.
Okay, Bruce Lee was choked out by a judoka, bro. All right, taken down, choked out.
Is there footage of this?
No, but the I forget the name of the judoka. Said he did, and Bruce Lee never denied it. And Bruce Lee then started to Bruce Lee then started to train the ground game after that. Okay. And then stories started coming out that, Bruce Lee started to develop a grappling style that was better than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, why is nobody using that style? Like, why don't I see that style being used in MMA? Like, why? Well, why don't I see anyone doing Taekwondo in MMA if it's so effective?
Because
you know what they tell me? This is what they tell me. Oh no, Taekwondo is so deadly that you can't use that in MMA. I mean, you'll kill people. Like, I don't know about that. Come on now.
I mean, I'm just saying.
No, but from what I understand, that style was a style with no style, right?
Yeah.
Correct? Like,
there's no form, like water.
No form, like a freestyle. It was like a freestyle type of fighting, like no form.
The one that was really doing, look. Chuck Norris was a karate champion. Okay, he knew judo. He went with the Gracies to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was a real mixed martial artist before anybody else. Chuck Norris, all right? But like that's just the truth. You know what I mean? Bruce Lee had philosophy. Like he would just say vague shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you put water in a teacup, it becomes a teacup. If you put water in the cup, it becomes a cup. Okay, dude. All right?
I gotta agree with you there. I always thought his philosophy was overrated because I read a couple of his books, and he's basically just taking Taoism and putting his own words into it. So I agree with you there. I always felt his philosophy was overrated.
Yeah, I agree. I've read a couple of his books too.
Are you a believer in Bruce Lee, G-Funky? Do you believe he was the real deal?
I believe he was the real deal.
Like, in other words, do you believe that people that say, Bruce Lee became a boxer, he would have beaten anybody?
No.
Since that's what some people say.
No, I don't believe that. Do I believe that? Let's just say hypothetically that if there was a thing as MMA or UFC back in his time, I think he would have kicked some ass. Do I think he would have been unstoppable? No, because nobody has been unstoppable ever since we've had the UFC around or anything like it. So I do think he was the real deal, man. Honestly, I don't think that guys like Jim Kelly and the other martial artists who were in his movies, I don't think that they would say these things about him if it wasn't true. But, at the end of the day, we'll never know because, he never competed in those competitions. But I do think he would have kicked some ass. I do believe that.
Hey, we have the Shoe Shop 4-way. We want you on the show, man. We want to know what you got to say about this, okay? Amilcar, you have a lot to answer to. I hope you're being sarcastic in the chat, but we'll see. We'll see. We're going to have Scott Hale, by the way, on Thursday, so it should be a really good roundtable. D will be on there. Christine should come in. Boxer Girls. So it's going to be a full panel. And then we're going to take phone calls in the last few minutes, like 20 minutes or so. You guys could ask questions to anybody in the panel. All right. But I just want to know why there's people that don't like. They'll say things like, "Oh, like Teofimo B. Nakatani." Like, come on, man. We know those Japanese guys can't fight, but then they got like a Bruce Lee poster. Like, I know he's Chinese, right? But like but they believe like Bruce Lee would have fucked up. Like, oh, maybe it's just a Chinese thing. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Worse than that. Worse than that. They'll say that, but then they'll have like Chinese writing tattooed on themselves.
Yeah. They got like the Chinese, like their name in Chinese and shit.
Yeah, they got a dragon tattooed
Like,
on their
hey,
back
look.
or something, you know.
They put my name in Chinese. Like, dude, that says suck a dick. Like, what? No, it's not name. That's what it says, bro. How do you know it's in Chinese? I hope you did your research before they did the tattoo.
Hey, I gotta say, my wife is Asian, and she doesn't know. She knows who Pacquiao and Bruce Lee are, but I gotta say, like, I don't feel like Asian people ride hard for their athletes, to be honest. So maybe that's what it is. Like people feel like they can pop off on Asian fighters. Although Filipinos roll pretty hard for Pacquiao.
Those Filipinos came in hard, bro, like an army. You know what I mean? So
that's true. That is true.
They were there.
Filipinos did.
Yeah, they went hard for sure.
So tell you what, guys, I appreciate everyone that came through. If you came in late, make sure you check out the archive. Floyd Schofield and Isamary, all right, Aquino. Just 3 fights between the two of them. Just brand new prospects, but I believe that they're going to be something down the line. They were both, really good amateurs, and I think they have good support systems behind them. Shout out to Maestro Truax. Check out his show here on Archive. For listening to Archive, make sure you hit the like button. I know a lot of you already did, but make sure you do that, please. We definitely appreciate all the support. Shout out to the Leave It in the Ring Network. Jab my like button. Calix, give us some final thoughts.
My final thought is, man, I'm looking forward to getting off of this and go and watch that Caleb Plant fight again. It was just such an exciting fight. I can't wait to watch
Caleb
it again.
Plant or Bruce Lee?
Caleb Plant, and then after I'm going to stay up and watch Enter the Dragon and watch that mirror scene again.
Sounds like a fun night, bro.
But no, Enter the Dragon was an incredible movie. But Caleb Plant's fight, not so much. But no, I guess that's where I would leave it off, man. I was disappointed in the Plant fight, but still very much looking forward to 168 and how that plays out for the rest of the year, because I'm not throwing away Caleb Plant yet. I think there's still a lot to look forward to with that guy, and who knows, man? Maybe he's going to show up against Canelo later on in the year and show out and shock us all. But
for sure.
Definitely looking forward to that. Wish there was some boxing on this weekend, but maybe I'll watch some Bruce Lee movies and documentaries in its place, because the guy was the real deal. His hands were so fast, he had to slow him down for the camera.
This was not like 1080i, bro. This was old school film. They had to do everything slow back then. Okay, this idea that it was too fast for the camera. I'm too fast for this camera. Look, you got to slow this shit down, bro. Look at this. You know what I mean?
You got to be like water, though. You got to be like water.
Look. I'm going to throw 5 punches right now. Tell me when to go.
Go.
Did you see him? You didn't see him or what?
Man.
Oh, we have to slow down. We're going to have to slow down the clip here. If you guys missed a great knockout earlier, make sure you check that out on Censor tomorrow, as I said. And by the way, this week, the big day is February 5th. It's the 1-year anniversary of HCP. You're invited, Cal, if you want to jump on for a quick 5 minutes or something, and then, you could drop off. I know it's a Friday night, but we should want people to come in, talk to us for a little bit, and we'll just kind of go from there. It's going to be a big show. Maestro Roz invited. All of you are invited, okay? I'm going to let people come in, chop it up with us for a little bit and all that good stuff. That's going to be on the 5th here, of course, on D-Style Boxing Live. G Funky, give us some final thoughts.
Well, my final thoughts are this, man. Boxing sucked this weekend. That card was just an abomination, man. It was not good. All those fights were not just. I mean, it was just a bad card. I was actually excited to see boxing back on network television because I'm one of those guys that I believe that exposure for the young champions is good for the sport, you know. And to put on a snooze fest like Plant did, I mean, that was just not good, man. And like you said earlier, D-Style, we need to be creating more fans, not turning them away. Like, I mean, let's just be honest. The casual sees a performance like that, a guy shutting another guy out for 12 rounds, they're going to turn it off, man. They're not going to sit there and watch that. You know, they're not going to be like, man, I want to see this guy fight again. You know, no, they're going to want to see the guy that's going to go out there and look good. You know, and like I said earlier, he didn't have to hit him with just one shot and sleep him, stretch him out. You know, he could have just, you know, continued to blast this dude round after round until the corner decided to stop it or the referee decided to stop it or he decided to stop on his own. But he just didn't do that. So thank God for the Royal Rumble this weekend. That's what saved my weekend. All right, I ended up watching that. You know, that's always fun to see the Royal Rumble.
What?
But Edge won it, man. So
Edge, isn't he dead?
Edge won, bro.
No,
No, he came back. He came back last year, and I think he came back last year at the Royal Rumble. He made a surprise appearance, and he popped up out of nowhere, and he won it this year. So looks like he's going to get his shot at the belt at WrestleMania. So, you know, it's pretty cool. And like I said, that's what saved the weekend for me, man. We had Bad Bunny there. He jumped off the top rope and did a dive on a couple of wrestlers. You know, it's pretty cool, man. So
it does sound more excited than a Plant fight for sure. Yeah.
Oh, it was. It was.
But
Hispanics are causing panic, baby. Let's do it.
That's right, man. Make sure
okay,
you guys.
And I'll
like
also, speaking of saving the weekend, I mean, there was more exciting things going on in the weekend.
Go get him. There you go. Go get him. Hey, you heard him. You heard him.
Hey, not bad. I have to see that again. You know what I mean? So nothing like some prospects on the come up, landing some thudding shots. This is D-style boxing. Hey, G-Funk, are you down with HCP?
You know me.
How about you, Calix? Are you down with HCP?
You know me.
That's right. Who's down with HCP? Everybody's D-style boxing. Keep it boxing.